Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our Paul Travel Virtual Escape series. Today we're visiting Portugal, so it's going to be really exciting. I'm Rhonda Swehan, the Leisure Manager at Paul Travel, and co-hosting with me today is Julie Bekdash. Hi,
Hi,
Julie.
everyone. Hello. Good morning.
So welcome to our repeat viewers. Thank you so much for joining us again. And welcome to our new members. I see we've got some new people who are joining us today. So it's really great to see you all. And thank you so much for joining our little webinar series. I know Julie and I have had a great time doing this. And it's so wonderful for you all to continue to dream, learn, and hopefully be inspired. So today I mentioned it's going to be Portugal. Oh gosh, one of my favorite little countries that I've only had a chance to visit, just Lisbon. And I know that just having that little taste of the country, there's so much more to offer, and it's such a popular destination for Canadians to travel to, and one that many people like to do some long stays in. So I think right now with fall approaching, and everybody's getting that little itchy travel bug, that they want to kind of go. This is a great time to kind of look at, Portugal and see what it has to offer. So it's really going to be a great little webinar today. Just as per normal, there's the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So any questions, please, please, please put them in there. We would love to hear from you. Julie will monitor them, and at the end of the presentation, she will ask any questions for you and have those all answered. In the chat box, you can put something as well. Maybe you've been to Portugal before. Maybe there's a great area you've been to. Maybe experience something fun like, some of the port in Portugal, which is definitely something you don't want to miss. So please put it in there. Also, just a little note, next week, we're bringing it to you early in the morning again at 10 a.m. next Thursday, which is the 17th. We're actually going to be bringing you a little bit of the United Arab Emirates, and Dubai. So I think that'll be kind of a fun place to visit. So please join us again next week. We will be following up with emails where you can register and all of that. So again, thank you for joining us this morning. And I'm going to turn this over to Julie, who's going to introduce our wonderful guest speaker today.
Perfect. Good intro, Rhonda. Thank you. So today we have with us Julia Sponseller. She is the Associate Director of Sales and Marketing for Made for Spain and Portugal. And they're another one of our destination management companies that specializes in facilitating immersive experiences to pass along to us that we can pass along to our clients. So Julia, she is originally, you'll be surprised, she doesn't have a Portuguese or Spanish accent. She's originally from the USA. She grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in a hockey family. So she has been to Canada quite a few times. They spend weekends in hockey tournaments. And then she spent her adult life as a travel writer, traveling around the Iberian Peninsula and just exploring every corner of Spain and Portugal. And now she works with Made for Spain and Portugal, helping to spread the word on all the hidden gems of these two countries. And she lives in Madrid. That's where she's joining us from today. And she also enjoys, she lives in a historic part of the city and just enjoys, the patios there and escaping to the wine regions of Spain and Portugal when she's not working. So nice to have you with us, Julia. Thank you so much for joining us at the end of your day, and we're excited to have you with us and hear more about Portugal.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks for joining so bright and early, and happy to share a little bit of Portugal with you all today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can get a visual and share a little bit about Portugal for insiders. So as Julie and Rhonda mentioned, we are their partners here in the Iberian Peninsula, And our goal is to really connect them with experiences that can be fully immersive and to experience our destinations as an insider. So my goal here today is to leave you feeling like you're a little bit more of an expert, feeling a little inspired, like you know what Portugal can offer. Maybe you've been there before, maybe you have a little anecdote to share with us. Feel free to share, and we can chat at the end of the session. So first, the big question, why Portugal? You know, aside from the temperate climate and the powerhouse history, why should I visit Portugal? Well, let's say that great things come in small packages. For such a small country, Portugal really is a powerhouse full of charming historic cities with their winding streets full of hidden history and fabulous food and wine, to the rolling green hills and mountains where you can hike, bike, ski, to the countryside, which is a gorgeous escape to just breathe a little and get back to slow living, to the incredible beaches, some of Europe's best and cleanest beaches, both on the mainland and in our islands. So you can really do everything from touring and tasting the country to getting active, going out surfing, golfing, hiking, and exploring the incredible artisan work all over Portugal, like the handmade soaps that we're known for, pottery, tiles, textiles, and everything in between. And the food and wine, my personal favorite part. This is where Portugal really shines, especially for such a small country. Having 26 wine regions is unheard of, and having such a variety. So we all know the port wine maybe, but also the powerful reds from the Doro Valley, the effervescent green wine, dry whites, sweet Madera wine, and everything in between. That Atlantic coast gives us incredible seafood and the lush farmland, great produce and meats to create those petiscos, which is the Portuguese version of tapas that people love to gather around and enjoy. Food is a real point of pride for Portugal, and you will absolutely see that. And of course, we can't forget the pastries, especially the pastéis de nata, which is probably what Portugal is most known for, the magical custard tarts that really taste like a little piece of heaven. So that's a little overview, but I want to take you a little deeper today. So I thought we could do it geographically. So I'm going to take you from the Algarve in the south all the way up through the north, and then we're going to end visiting our islands today. So the Algarve, we all know it as a beach destination, having these pristine beaches and really diverse beaches. So all along the coast, you can go to the eastern side and find more Caribbean looking beaches and definitely more secluded local beaches. Then when we head a little further west, we get that orange rock cliff beach with the turquoise water that I think a lot of us see marketed around, and it's one of the most beautiful things where you can scale down from the cliffs if you're a little adventurous. If not, you can kayak from the towns into these secluded beaches through the grottos, have a boat take you out. We can of course also arrange beach club access, or even take you out on our dinghies to private beaches where we can have staff come and bring you a picnic lunch, anything you really need so you can feel secluded. And I think nowadays a lot of us are looking for a way to feel safe and distanced, and this is absolutely one of the very best ways. A must, catching the wildlife, the dolphins, the fish, getting out and snorkeling, maybe taking out a sailboat for the day, or sailing through the lagoons, doing a little bit of surfing, and working on our golf game. The Algarve is one of Europe's prime destinations for golf, and it has a diverse range of courses for every level of golfer. If you can tear yourself away from the sea, we love to arrange visits to the charming towns all over the Algarve, the whitewashed towns that are full of history, especially Moorish history. So a little something maybe you didn't know, if you ever hear a word or a place in Spain or Portugal that starts with AL, like Algarve, Alentejo, that means that it was named by the Moors. That comes from Arabic. So the Algarve is rich in Moorish history and definitely something that should be explored while you're there. And our real benefit as local partners is helping travelers really to go that extra step in learning what life is like in the place that they're visiting. So in the Algarve, that might mean going out with our friend Joao here, who's a fisherman in the Algarve, and learning what life is like for him, plucking oysters fresh from the sea, opening a bottle of wine, and just really chatting about the history, family life, customs in that area, and swapping stories, or heading to the salt mines and learning the importance of the salt industry in this area, some of the best salt in Europe, and taking some home for yourself, of course. A little bit of artisan work. The pottery is unparalleled in this region. And maybe a market visit, maybe a cooking class, maybe a wine tasting. Of course, we all want to go to the Algarve so we can go to the beach. Maybe we can work on our golf game. But going that extra step and really immersing yourself in the local culture is an absolute must when you're there, or else you're missing a big piece of the heart and soul of this area. As far as accommodations go, we can arrange all sorts of things because there really is something for everyone. We have a little bit of a nature hotel in lush gardens, to coastal hotels, to resorts for families, to, of course, private villas where you can get that privacy and stay for a little longer, feel secluded with full services taken care of. All right, now let's head a little further north, Alentejo, another Al here, so we know that the Moors were here as well. So the Alentejo is on that Atlantic coast again, and then heading further east towards the Spanish border. So if we go on the map, you'll see that you would have seen that it is Portugal's biggest region, but it's also the least populous. Why is that? Because it's full of farmland. So this is the slow region I was talking about. This is the place where everything is, you take your time. People here are in no rush. It's not the hustle and bustle of city life. This is where you go to eat, to drink well, and to relax. This is the destination for city dwellers, for Lisbonites. To head out. This is where they have their country homes. This is where I go if I have a long weekend from Madrid. It's about 4 hours, and it really is a little slice of rural paradise here on the Iberian Peninsula, full of wildlife, full of horses. So we can arrange great horseback riding, trail riding to experience the natural wonders of the area. There's also megalithic dolmens that we can have our private guides take you to learn the history of. We can do stargazing with our astronomer from this spot as well, which is pretty magical. With the people say it's a very spiritual spot when you're there, and the rock formations. It's a pretty incredible experience at nighttime with the stars twinkling above. To the towns that are also chock full of history here, we have Évora with its Roman temple and a lot of royal history. So our expert guides can take you through to explore that. Members of the former royal family that can take you into these palaces and churches that belong to their family and give you a real insider's look as to what that means, and anecdotes about their family that you wouldn't hear on a normal guided tour. And just losing yourself in the streets of these charming towns, maybe popping into the shops. The Alentejo is the biggest producer of cork in Europe. And you'll see all of the cork trees along the farmland as you drive through. this is an incredible product that we normally use to bottle the wines, but in the Alentejo, you can find it for everything: cork umbrellas, shoes, bags. It's super durable, waterproof. I buy a piece every time I go, and it's a really unique thing to pick up while you're in Portugal. There is also wonderful wine in this region, and jamon, the Iberian jamon that Spain is known for. Portugal also makes it, called presunto. So you can see the Iberian pig here. So we can really get you fantastic product here in this region. Don't tell the Spaniards I said that the jamon in Portugal was just as good as Spain, but I really believe that it is. And our local host, Olga, here can give you a little look at the lifestyle of the Alentejo, take you to the wineries to meet the owners, have a glass of wine on the patio, enjoy and learn really about the whole process of growing up here and what that's like. Another thing about this being a retreat for the city dwellers, for in former times the royals and the nobles of Portugal, are all of the private palaces that are dotting the Alentejo. So here is our dear friend's winery and private palace, where we can visit our friend Diana, who will tell us a little about her family's history, how they produce their wine. Visit this gorgeous palace, an incredible example of the blue and white tiles you'll see all over Portugal, called azulejos, and have a delicious traditional local lunch here while tasting their wines. And we can't forget that the Alentejo has that Atlantic coast. So this is where Comporta is. You may have heard of it. They consider it, a lot of people consider it the Hamptons of Europe. Very chic destination, but also a very rugged, beautiful coast that is well worth a visit. Accommodations, the Alentejo is known for those rural boutique design hotels. So everything from on the bottom left, you have a hotel in the eastern side of the region that's really a town into itself and one of the best restaurants in the country, to a small architecturally wonderful hotel with its private pool, to a former convent on the bottom right that's been turned into a hotel. And then we have the Sublime Comporta, which is like a glamping experience on the water and everything in between. All right, now we're heading to Lisboa. Lisboa, the capital of Portugal and central Portugal. So we'll talk a little bit about what we can put together in Lisbon, Lisboa, to the locals, and some day trips that can be organized in central Portugal. So Lisboa is really the historical center of Portugal. The history buffs can't miss it. It's the oldest city in Western Europe. It was established in 1200 BC by the Phoenicians and has gone through Roman power, Moorish power, Christian power. So you can imagine all of the history that we have here, and our private guides can take you through all of it. But Lisbon is a very modern city now, and we think it's really important to live that lifestyle too. So we have journalists, filmmaker, musicians that can take you through the Bairro Alto and show you what life is like day to day as a Lisboeta, how artists and poets were inspired by the city in their works, and seeing a really different side. Another very important part of Lisboa as the capital is the food and the wine. This is where the great chefs, the great sommeliers come to make it. And you can really taste that all throughout the city. So everything from the traditional seafood houses and beer houses to the chic Petiscos bar to the Michelin star level. We can take you on a Petiscos tour and you can sample your way through it all with our local host to take you along the way. Fado is another thing that can't be missed. Fado is the melancholy, forlorn song of Portugal. A lot of people like to call it the flamenco of Portugal. Flamenco, the Spanish traditional music. It is not. Fado is a very sad song. It's very emotive. It's very, very emotional, but beautiful. And so we can organize a show for you, take you to the best places. And nowadays, a theater is the best place to see it. This is where the greatest artists are performing. Although you can find many at restaurants that are performing while you have dinner, it's not the best place to see Fado. So we'll help your agents at Paul Travel find the very best place that you're gonna see the best show. Then we can't miss a trip to Belém, which is about 10 minutes north of the city of Lisbon. And this is where the explorers, the age of discovery, was really born. So the ships launched from this area, and this is where you can see the Torre de Descubrimientos, which is where the Discovery Tower, in honor of all of those explorers that went out. If you don't know, that Vasco da Gama was from Portugal. And so much of the exploration of Africa, Asia, and the New World happened here. Also incredible examples of the Manueline architecture that Lisbon is known for. And this is the place where you can get the emblematic pastéis de Belém, that custard tart that I was talking about before. Many of you may have heard of Coimbra. Coimbra is about 20 minutes north of the city and a can't miss day trip from Lisboa. It was the royal retreat for many years, and this was the royal family's southern palace. This is the Pena Palace, Palacio da Pena. Very colorful, filled with that Manueline style, and one of the most popular places to visit in Coimbra. So we can organize visits that are at off times or even while it's closed to the public, so that you can visit as comfortably as possible. And though it's beautiful for a photo op on the outside, the inside is also really surprising, so I can't miss. But it's what's also overlooked are all the other palaces in Coimbra. It is a palace city. So this is Quinta Regaleira, which is something like an enchanted garden. That is my personal preference. I would actually choose this on my day trip over Palacio da Pena. So really choosing the palaces that most fit what you're looking for, so you can make the most out of your day trip. The other thing that we have here are private palaces. So this is our friend Salvador. He's a famous fado singer, and this is his home, his palace. So he'll invite you and give you a private fado performance, and enjoy dinner together, discussing really what his life is, maybe some history about fado, maybe some history about Coimbra. The options really are endless. And it's another great place that you can practice your golf game, a very gorgeous green hilly area that has a beautiful microclimate. So a fantastic destination for those golfers. Another top day trip from Lisboa is Fatima, where the Virgin Mary is said to have appeared 3 times. So it is a pilgrimage destination. And if you're interested in that Catholic history, that is absolutely a place to stop by. We have Coimbra, which is home to one of Europe's oldest universities and libraries. The library is absolutely fascinating, and the students still wear the traditional garb, like the black capes that you see in Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling lived in northern Portugal, in Porto, and was said to have been inspired by the capes that the students wear here for her description of the uniforms at Hogwarts. So it's really incredible to visit this university and to see the students in 2020 still dressed like that. Tomar, which is another destination that's often looked over but shouldn't. It's home to the Templar Castle, where our private guides can teach you all about the Templar history in Portugal and in Europe. And this city is also home to one of the most interesting synagogues in Southern Europe. So definitely worth a visit, and great restaurants as well. and many other colorful, charming towns that we can visit along the way, such as Óbidos here. So the destinations I've described so far in general can all be visited by car. Portugal is very small. From Lisbon to any of these destinations, it's maybe an hour to 2 hours by car, which you can do self-driving or have a driver take you. The Algarve is about 4 hours. The only public transport that we really recommend in Portugal are the trains from Lisbon to Porto, which I will get to in a second. But here, driving, whether you're driven or driving yourself, is really the way that you're going to explore these towns and really get the most out of your time there. As far as accommodation in Lisbon goes, well, this is the capital, so this is where you're going to find the most diverse offer. We have everything from the Four Seasons on your top left, where you have, you know, the classic Four Seasons service and design, as well as an incredible spa and a track where you can see views of Lisbon, to the boutique design hotels in the center of the city, to private apartments as well. Now let's head north to Porto, to the Doro Valley, and the very northern tip of Portugal, Valença, Minho, and a few other cities. So this is where I was talking about that train. So this is really the only high-speed train that's up to our standards. A lot of other trains in Portugal are something that we might find, I don't know, from the 1960s, regional trains that are not comfortable, that might not have any seating. These, the train from Lisbon to Porto is fantastic. First class, clean, Wi-Fi, and quick trip, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. You're there, and you can even stop in Coimbra, the city with the old university, and hop back on and make your way up to Porto with no problem. So let's start with Porto here. Porto is my personal favorite city, often known as Portugal's second city, but for me it's the first in my heart. Porto is the port wine city. It has a lot of British influence from its port wine industry, and is really a colorful tumble down of buildings into the Douro River, full of enough history to keep you occupied for a few hours, some incredible churches to visit, as well as the São Bento train station with the history of Portugal splayed out via the tiles, to Livraria Lelo, which is a modernist bookstore, which is where J.K. Rowling was said to have been inspired by for the architecture for Hogwarts as well. So a lot of inspiration for Harry Potter here in northern Portugal, but it is absolutely stunning and a can't miss. So enough history to keep you occupied for a few hours, but Porto is really about living, about getting out and tasting, visiting those port wineries, which are over in Vila Nova de Gaia, right across the Douro River. So you can see stunning views of the city from the wineries, learn how it's made, and enjoy port wine. We also love really getting in on the lifestyle here. So this is a fishing neighborhood just outside of Porto, where you can go. The wives still hang their laundry in the square, in the town square, and the husbands will come in with the catch of the day, and you can go up and say, listen, this is the fish that I want for my lunch, and here we have a fisherman that will head over and grill it for you. And you can have it at a table set up just for you, seaside lunch, and it might cost you €7 with a glass of wine included. Fantastic, super local experience. Also, we have our hosts that can take you to the hidden shops. This is a great shopping destination. So a jewelry store, the filigree, is really popular here in Portugal. So a jewelry store where you can head to the workshop in the back and see what the artisans are working on, and then pick up a piece to take home with you. To the textiles. The textiles are great in this area because of all the wool produced in the Serra da Estrela, the mountains, a little to the east of Porto. So you can get great blankets, scarves, sweaters, all my winter wear I make sure to pick up while I'm in Porto. Porto has fantastic accommodations, Art Nouveau style in many of them. We also have the Yateman, which is the bottom picture here, which is over on the other side of the river in Vila Nova de Gaia, where we have stunning views of Porto. This is a wine hotel, so you can taste any wine you can imagine here. Have a Michelin star meal, enjoy the pool, the spa, to the Intercontinental and the main square, everything in between, private apartments and boutique hotels, a little bit of everything here in Porto. And of course, we can't miss the Doro Valley. So the Doro Valley is about an hour and a half outside of Porto, and a real wide variety. Mostly red wines here, but a lot of port wine is produced here in the Doro Valley and then finished in Porto. And we also have some whites. So lots of winery visits to be had here. Where we can pick the grapes, actually produce in the participate in the harvest, stomp the grapes ourselves, and taste the wine, of course. We can also organize spectacular meals on the shores of the Douro River, boating along the river, maybe a little kayaking, paddle boarding, hiking, of course, and who can miss the wine tastings and some fantastic meals as well. And then in northern Portugal, there's tons of history, especially with the Celtic influence up here. So another thing that can't be missed that we can add on to a day trip, Valença do Minho here with the incredible fortresses that were built centuries ago, and just something to add on, a little something different to your trip. And in the Douro in northern Portugal, we have fantastic design hotels, from winery hotels to the Six Senses, one of the best spa hotels in the world, to the more traditional and rustic style hotels. There's very unique properties in this area, and something it's a little fun, a fun thing to add, especially at the end of your trip. All right, so now we've finished with mainland Portugal. Let's head over to the island, to the Azores. Now in this map here, it seems very close to the coast, but it's really pretty much smack between Europe and North America, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, this set of islands. 9 islands in total. That's about 2.5-hour flight from Porto or Lisbon. So what will stick with you with the Azores are lush, vibrant greens and blues. Everything is vibrant. We have the natural lakes here, which provide incredible scenery for hiking, the tea plantations, where absolutely everything is organic here. There's not a pesticide on the island. They have really strict eco-conscious measures in place, so that everything is fresh, everything is organic, and we can organize visits to all of these places. Hiking through the forests and natural parks where you can catch the natural hot springs, and baths for a little natural spa treatment. And the hotels here are really meant to make you feel one with your surroundings, really impeccably integrated to the nature surrounding them, and offering services that really bring you to the heart of the Azores and what it's about, that slow life, that eco life, and getting back to nature. And finally, let's head to Madera, which is the southernmost island. So again, this map is just for reference, but really it's closer to Africa than it is to Europe. So it's about an 1.5-hour flight from Lisbon. just southwest of where it shows on this map. Madera is a great beach destination. It is pretty temperate all year round, although the water can be a little bit cold. But it is certainly a little beach escape for a lot of Northern Europeans. Great surfing here, great fishing. Super lush here, so there's a lot of history, especially as history of the explorers go. So we can do historical and cultural visits, but also just to see and be wowed by the nature of the island. It's one of the biggest producers of flowers in Europe, so for garden lovers, that's a can't miss. And getting out, hiking, really breathing the nature of this island. And we can't miss the Madera wine. So heading up to the wineries, learning about the process of how the wines are made, and enjoying a tasting with views like this. That sounds like a pretty good day to me. One of my favorite ways to spend a day. And this is another one of those places that you can work on your golf game with incredible views. So as I said, this Madera is a beach escape for many Europeans, and so the hotels are designed with that in mind. They're meant to be places that you can really forget about everything and feel like you're on that escape. So super integrated with the nature around them, like the Azores, but with services that make you feel like you never need to leave the hotel, and that you're getting incredible views that you wouldn't have to wander away from the hotel for either. So that's super important and kept in mind here in these hotels in Madera. So that is about the end of my look into the geographic destinations of Portugal. But I just want to finish with this is a difficult time for tourism and for travelers. I know we're all itching to get out to explore the world, and we just want you to know that the important part of working with a travel company like Paul Travel is that they have locals in their pockets. So we're here making sure that everything is clean and safe and ready for you when you're ready to travel. So our job is to know the measures that will keep you safe and keep you feeling like healthy and protected all throughout your travels, so that you can feel like you have a local in your pocket. Portugal has also established a clean and safe tourism badge, and in order to be open to the public, all hotels and restaurants have to complete all of their requirements here. So we're here to keep you safe, and that's what we're working on now. So when you're ready to come, we're ready for you. So obrigadinha, thank you so much. And yeah, if we have any questions, I'm happy to help.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Julia. I got to spend a month in Portugal a couple of years ago, and it was like going through memory lane as you're taking us through. So that was wonderful. And it's so nice to see. I love all the suggestions you have for places that people you really can't find by Googling. Like you guys have the inside scoop, you have the connections, and
Exactly.
so that's just awesome. We do have, anybody else has any questions, feel free to pop them in the question box. Gina has a question about picking and choosing different tours, and I can answer that one. So the nice thing about working with a company like Made for Spain is that everything's tailor-made and just customized to what our clients are looking for. So we can have any tours, whatever you're into. It's not an organized, like, 40 people going from one place to another and everything's, included. We can piece it together, and it's private, and you can do just what you're interested in doing. So that's great. One thing we love about working with you. Let's see, anyone else has any questions? That's another thing that's nice in the Porto area, is doing a river cruise on the Douro into which
Absolutely.
You guys can probably arrange those like tours as well. That's just a beautiful way to see it.
Yes, absolutely. That can be done, multiple day touring, or just getting out on a boat to some of the wineries are hard to reach. So if you hop in a car, it might take you an hour through those hills to get you there. But if you're going on a boat, you can hop from winery to winery in a matter of minutes and spend a really nice afternoon on the water. So it's a nice way to experience it, and even more efficient in some ways.
Perfect. Do you have a favorite time of year to go to Portugal? I mean, it probably depends on the region, but is there a favorite?
It does depend on the region, but honestly, for me, I like going at the end of fall and even in the off season, because it's really temperate. It doesn't get freezing cold, and it's no crowds at all in the winter time. So I think it's really nice. You can also get great rates at that time in the hotel, so that's a great time to go. But it's really sunny almost all year round, so I would say if you're up for it, winter travel is definitely a way to go, and especially to see a little more of an insider's Portugal.
Yeah,
just to add on, sorry about that. Just to add on to that, Julia, I know that there's a lot of people that like to do long stays. So during our winter time, is there areas that you would recommend would be a little bit more conducive for?
Absolutely. So the first two regions I talked about, the Algarve and the Alentejo would be fantastic, especially that Alentejo coast, which is close to Lisbon. So you can get a villa or a home or an apartment that you can stay for longer term. And that can be your base if you want to explore the rest of Portugal, because as I said, super small, really easy to do by car, but the weather's nice, and it's just a little escape. Same with the Algarve. A lot of the hotels close in the Algarve in the winter time, but for a long stay, that's fantastic, because that means you're going to have it to yourself. So if you have your villa or your private home that you're staying at, you can see all of the things that the locals are experiencing once all the beach dwellers leave. And the weather is still quite nice.
Oh, perfect. Great. Thank you.
It's great. Yeah, we were in the Algarve in November, and every day it was around 20, bright blue skies, and it was beautiful.
It's really nice. Yeah. The water is too cold to swim. I do want to let that be known, but
nice
it's still nice to have the sea air and the views.
Perfect. Just another couple questions about the islands. I was wondering how long you would recommend to spend in each area. Like in Madera, how long do you think would be a good amount of time to see everything?
To see it depends. If you want a beach escape, I would say minimum 3 nights on Madera, but if you can extend it, that's great, because then you're really going to have the time to disconnect and to enjoy the beaches, enjoy the pool, and take time. But if you really want to pack it in, then you can do a 3-night trip.
Okay. And how about the Azores? Is there a specific
It depends on, it's a hike to get to the Azores. It's 2.5 hours from mainland Portugal. So if you're coming from Canada, you will have already flown to Lisbon or Porto to get there, or you can fly down to Boston, where you can get a direct flight to the Azores, if that's your where you want to start. But I would say 4 nights would be a good reference to keep in mind. If you're a real nature lover and you really want to immerse yourself, then you can extend it, but 4 nights is a good point of reference.
Okay. And in the Azores, are there specific islands you'd recommend visiting?
Yes, absolutely. So there really are only 2 habited islands, and then the rest we can inhabited islands, and then the rest we can visit by ferries. The hotels, the Azores Hotel in Furnas and Porto Santo.
Okay, perfect. And then just a question for us is about the flights from Edmonton to Lisbon. There are no nonstop flights, so you would connect in, say, Toronto probably would be the most common option, and there's it's a good time. It leaves in the evening from Toronto, so lots of time to connect and get there about 11 in the morning into Lisbon. That's with Air Canada. Somebody is asking also, thanks, these are great questions, everyone. Are there any Eucharistic miracles in Portugal or incorruptible saints?
As far as I know, I'm not aware of that. We have Fatima with the apparitions of the Virgin Mary, but I can look into that and email Julia and Rhonda to get back to you on that specific question. But
yeah,
I'm not aware of any right now.
Okay, that's great. And also just for I guess currently in Portugal. Someone's asking about current travel quarantine, or is there any testing upon arrival or anything happening?
Yes. Okay. So when you arrive, no, there's no quarantine, but you have to present a negative COVID test upon arrival that's been taken within 72 hours, or they can test you once you get there. Sorry, this is for Madera and the Azores. On mainland Portugal, there's no test required.
And no quarantine period.
And no quarantine required,
okay.
Just on the two islands.
Okay.
You just have to do that testing.
Okay. And do you know if in Portugal, are there, I know they're allowing Canadians, are there certain American states, or as a country, are they allowing Americans into?
No, so Portugal is under the EU travel ban, the EU travel measures, we'll call them. So the borders for the EU are currently closed to American tourists. Canadians are allowed in, but US tourism is not currently.
Okay, and that's with an American passport, even if they were coming from Canada?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, perfect. That sounds great. That's excellent. Thank you for all your information. That's wonderful. And we love working with you because you're right there. You got the inside scoop, and it's just such a pleasure. So if anyone else has questions, feel free to email Rhonda or I or your agent from Paul Travel, and we can, if we don't know, we'll definitely get in touch with you, Julia, or your company to find the answer. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. It was such a pleasure to just take a little trip through Portugal with all of you, and look forward to seeing a lot of people hopefully next week. And yes. Thanks again, Julia. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yes, thanks
so
so much,
Julia.
Julia.
Take care, everyone.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.